Love can blossom in the most unexpected ways, and this is our story. We met in an online group for writers. I was looking for feedback on my latest piece, a fantasy romance. When I saw his comment, he was a member of the group, and his comment was more of a suggestion than a critique, but there was something about his words that stood out. His name was Zane. He was an architect, which seemed odd since he was critiquing my fantasy romance with such accuracy. It was Zane. "Are you free tomorrow?" he asked. It was quaint and cozy with fairy lights strung across the ceiling. I was quite competitive in video games. Ask Kenji. He knows all about it. I was hesitant at first, unsure of what to expect, but Kenji assured me they were a fun bunch. I should go. We explored the city together, checking out new restaurants and attending art exhibitions. Every day was an adventure, full of laughter, passion, and love. I had found my person in this vast world, a person who loved me for me, who accepted me with all my flaws and imperfections. Finding Kenji was like discovering a hidden treasure, something rare and valuable that had been waiting for me all along. It was a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could shine through and lead me to the love I had always dreamed of. I leaned over and kissed his forehead, whispering, "I love you, Kenji." And in his sleep, I could almost hear him whisper back, "I love you too, Zane." I still remember the day he proposed. We were walking through the park, hand in hand, when he stopped and dropped to one knee. "Olivia," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "Will you marry me?" I burst into tears. "Yes," I cried. "Yes. 1,000 times, yes." He slipped the ring on my finger and I couldn't stop staring at it. It was perfect. I looked up at Kenji and saw a look of pure joy on his face. In that moment, I knew I had found the love of my life. I knew that no matter what challenges we faced, we would face them together. Because in Kenji, I had found my person, my soulmate. But it was during one of our pub nights that I realized I had fallen for Kenzo. I was sitting across from him, listening as he animatedly described a project he was working on. His eyes were shining with passion, and I couldn't help but lean closer. The next thing I knew, I was kissing him. It was a soft, tentative kiss, but it was enough to make my heart race. Kenzo pulled back slightly, his eyes wide with surprise. "Oh," he whispered. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." I shook my head, my cheeks flushing. "No, it's okay." I liked it. I could see the relief wash over his face. "Really? Yeah," I said, smiling. "Really?" And from that night on, everything changed. So I put on a nice shirt and headed over to the pub. As soon as I walked in, I saw a group of people waving at me from a table in the corner. I made my way over and introduced myself. There was Kenzo, of course, as well as 3 other guys. They were all architects like me, and we hit it off right away. We talked about everything from our dream projects to our favorite video games. Kenzo kept an eye on me, making sure I was included in the conversation. And when I started to relax, I realized I was having the best time. I used to play a lot of video games with my friends. We would play for hours on end, competing for high scores and bragging rights. But when Kenji entered my life, everything changed. I still remember the first time I laid eyes on him. He was standing by the fridge in the break room, his back towards me, reaching for a carton of milk. The afternoon sun was streaming through the windows, highlighting his broad shoulders and the curve of his neck. I couldn't help but stare. When he turned around, he caught me off guard with his warm smile. Hey, he said, his eyes crinkling at the corners. Do you know where the coffee machine is? I need a caffeine boost, I stammered, trying to look away. Yeah, it's just down the hall. After that, I tried to focus on the blueprints in front of me, but all I could think about was Kenzo's smile. We were seated in a corner table, and I noticed a bottle of wine and 2 glasses waiting for me. Then he did something that took my breath away. He got down on one knee and pulled out a velvet box. Olivia, he said, his voice thick with emotion, will you marry me? Tears welled up in my eyes. Yes, I whispered, my voice trembling. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. He slipped the ring on my finger, and I couldn't help but marvel at its beauty. It was a simple band of silver with a small diamond in the center. You didn't have to do this, I said, hugging him. I know, he replied, but I wanted to. I love you, Olivia. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And in that moment, I knew I had found something rare and precious, a love that had blossomed miles away, but had somehow found its way to me. A love that had taken root in our hearts and grown into something strong and beautiful. Yeah, why? I have a surprise for you. Meet me at Grand Central Station at noon. Wear something nice. The message made my heart race. A surprise. What was it? I decided to dress up. I wore a little black dress and black heels, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. When the clock struck noon, I arrived at the station. There was a sea of people rushing around me. Where was Zane? Had he forgotten about our meeting? Just when I was about to send him a text, I heard a familiar voice. Hey, there. I turned around and saw Zane standing there holding a bouquet of lilies, my favorite. Wow, I breathed. He was even more handsome than I remembered, his eyes shining with anticipation. Are you ready? He asked, extending the lilies towards me. I took them, my fingers brushing against his. Where are we going? I asked. He just smiled and led me to a cab. Still, I was intrigued. I replied to his comment, and soon we were exchanging messages. Our conversations were easy and comfortable. We talked about books, movies, and eventually our dreams and fears. He was funny, smart, and kind. And before I knew it, I was falling for him. But there was a problem. Zane was miles away in San Francisco. I was in New York, and we had never met. Was it foolish to fall for someone I hadn't even laid eyes on? Maybe. But feelings can't always be reasoned with. One day, over video chat, I finally saw him. He was even more charming in person. His dark hair fell over his forehead as he talked, his eyes twinkling with amusement. I felt my heart skip a beat. Video chats turned into daily calls, then into weekly ones. We shared everything with each other, our hopes, our ambitions, our vulnerabilities. He listened to me pour out my heart, telling me things I had never told anyone. One day, I felt a shift in our conversations. They became more intimate, more charged with emotion. I began to crave his voice, his touch. We exchanged goodnight texts every day, but now they were laced with longing and desire. One night we decided to take a step further. We started sex. It was scary and exciting at the same time. I had never been this open with anyone, never let anyone in this way. But Zane was different. He understood me in a way that surprised me. He knew when I needed a joke to lift my spirits or a word of comfort when I was down. He was patient attentive, and loving. And as months passed, our relationship deepened. Then came the proposal. It was a Saturday morning. I was sipping my coffee, lost in thought, when my phone lit up. We drove in comfortable silence for about 20 minutes until we reached a small restaurant. Soho. My name is Zane. I work as an architect and I love building things. Not just buildings, but Lego sets too. One evening, Kenji invited me to join him and his friends at a local pub. Over the next few months, I started spending more and more time with Kenzo and his friends. Kenji and I started dating, and I couldn't be happier. We had a wonderful life together. As I watched him sleeping beside me, his chest rising and falling gently, I couldn't help but feel a surge of love and gratitude.